Hello, and welcome to a very spooky and special episode of Expert in the House. Today, we have Shawn.
That's a stretch for expert.
Well, I'd say you're an expert scarer at this point. You definitely...
Is that what's on your business cards? Expert scarer.
You know, when I go through the border, you know, when they ask you that, when you're going through they go like, what do you do for a living? And you're like, I own a haunted house. I mean, I could have cocaine on my face at that point. They won't even care. They're like, what is that? You know, like, and they just divert into like all these thousand questions. And you see the lines start backing up, you know, because the guy's like, oh, I didn't hear that one all day. Right? So.
Yeah. Oh. How did you end up, like, when you were a kid, did you like scary stuff, creepy stuff, haunted houses?
This happened by accident because my background since I was a kid was like DJing. Like when I was 16 years old, I was DJing weddings, and that's the route that I was going. And I got into radio. That's where I wanted to be. And I started going that route. And then I can tell you exactly the moment that I was like, I'm getting out of radio, was that I had to work at Christmas Eve. And I had the worst diarrhea ever. And it's like a nightmare. It's a disc jockey nightmare. And you always can tell when somebody's using the bathroom when you're a disc jockey because you play like Paradise by the Dashboard Lights.
The
or
longest
something.
songs you can find.
Yeah, Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, I'm like, why am I listening to Stairway to Heaven for the 7th time tonight? Somebody's like, oh, right?
Why was there just 9 songs in a row?
Yeah. But I was doing that, and I remember at that time, minimum wage was $6.85. And then there was a snowstorm, and the next person couldn't come in. So you're obligated to take that next shift. And it went down, and it was south from there. And I was like, oh, and I had such a sour taste in my mouth from that one little moment. But then I had to kind of dig deep inside and said, what do I really want to do? Is this like where I want to go? And one thing that I really enjoyed doing was working in the clubs, where I was DJing in the clubs versus like, you know, DJing an overnight pressing buttons on a Mackie board, right? And by that time, you're talking carts. You put the cart in, load up all your CDs. I just went the other way. And then I started in the clubs and I started DJing that way. And then I got into hospitality, and then that was the direction that we went. And then I started buying into other nightclubs, and then we had multiple nightclubs. And then we were going to lose Bentley's Roadhouse, which is a club downtown Windsor. And it was because of the passports. The American government said that you have to have a passport.
Everybody had to have a passport?
Yep. And it was like a light switch went off. Like everybody was in the weekend before, slam packed, line up down the street. The next weekend, ghost town. I mean, not one person. And then you just knew the writing was on the wall. We were going to lose that place. So I went to Dario, my business partner, and I said, hey, we're going to lose this place. And he's like, I'm just going to give the keys to the bank. Like, what else can you do? I was like, well, let's try doing the haunted house thing that we wanted to do. And that's how it happened. And that was in 2008. We lost our shirts doing it. We were terrible at it. I mean, one time we got closed down. The fire marshal came in and it's like, you guys can't do this. It was a horror show on our part through the business side. But at the end of it, when we reevaluated, man, that was so much fun. We could have done that. We should have done that. And you went through that whole process, and you're like, okay. And then we went and we did it again next year. We got a little bit better. We did it again next year, and we went a little bit better, and we never stopped. And now that was 2008. So what? Wow. 16, 17 years later.
So where does your creative come from? I mean, you guys are always adding things and coming up with new things. Like this room that we're in, I don't know particularly what this is called, but this
Cursed Manor.
The Cursed Manor. So now you do meals, you do, you know, where do you get your creative?
Really, at this point, it's a team. We lock ourselves into a room, like not like we have a boardroom. It's a lot brighter than this. It doesn't have some cool stuff like this. It's a pretty bland wall pattern. And we just come up with ideas and we bounce them off each other. And everybody's kind of an expert in their own little area. Like we have Denny. Denny's in charge of all the animatronics. He understands props and movement and how to move air. And then we have Colleen, and she's my wife, but she's like the makeup. She's the costume designer. She's the one that spent all the time. Like right here, these are all painted on stencils. Like that's not like she takes the time to do it. Like everything you see in her, she decided that that's where it was going to go. And then Tommy's the production manager. He makes sure that all the actors are in the right places and all the way through. I mean, like top to bottom, there's a full team. Even hospitality, my friend Mandy, she's the one that makes sure that things can happen when we're serving our meals, and she takes care of all that area. So like when we sit into our area and we go through our SWOT analysis, we're just like, okay, where can we go? What worked? What didn't work? And then we just start bouncing ideas off of each other. And then like Denny will say something like, I've always I want to animate a rose. I want a rose to grow and die right in front of your eyes. And he's like, okay. And we're like, yeah, how are you going to do that? Whatever. Go ahead. And he did it. And you're like, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, this is amazing.
So if this whole radio thing don't work out, we want to come and work for you.
That'd be amazing. That'd be sweet.
But yeah, like it really is at this point. And we're so zoned into our own areas. The only thing that really can stop us is just money. Because it can be done. I mean, we could put a merry-go-round on the roof of this building at that level. It just, can you afford it at this point? Like, there's like imagination is not really a problem for us because we can solve it. Hence, when we did, frankly, black and white, that room in there, and it's all black and white. Like when you're in it, like you're just in a black and white movie.
We'll have to go and check that out.
Yeah, there's just no color, and you tell people that, and they're like, "How is that possible?" I'm like, "It's the technology. It's the special effect."
Wow,
that is so cool. That's so intriguing. I'm excited to see.
It's on the other side of this wall.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because whoever's watching at home, they're gonna get a chance to see it too when I go through it.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to actually.
It's awesome.
Know what to.
It's really cool.
Oh, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
So, you said that when you got pretty much backed into like a financial corner, this is kind of where it started. But you referred to that haunted house idea. So has this been like kind of fostering for a long time? Have you always just at the deep pit of your dreams wanted to like do your own haunted house?
Okay, so that really came out of when we owned the nightclubs. The drinking age is 19 in Windsor, and you're having all these young Americans come over from the States, and they can't drink over there. So the most of that time, you're going back to like, this would be like early 90s. And that clientele coming over, they were just young Americans. And then so you try to figure what's going to fit within that demographic that you got. So obviously you got a nightclub and the bar, but when you go to some of these other tourism towns, say you're in Niagara Falls, and then you see all the Americans coming over, and then they all gravitate. They go, oh, we got to go to Screamers, or oh, we got to go to Nightmares. Like these are like, it just goes hand in hand. And we all back then, it's not like that now, but back then we saw ourselves as a tourism destination for young adults, all Americans coming from Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin. Like they just all came in like by the thousands. It was a really good time to be the age that I was and the entrepreneur that I was in that field, because it was like crazy fun.
Did horror always gravitate to you?
No, not at all.
Wow.
Yeah, not at all.
So intriguing.
Do you believe in haunted houses? Like, do you believe?
Not really. Everybody talks about like, oh, this place is haunted. It's got high spirits. I'm like, well, I'll take your word for it, because I worked in here for a good year when there was no air conditioning here, walking around in my underwear, and the only thing that saw me was like the mice. Like I didn't hear anything. But I mean, they're hellbent on it. Like they just say, oh yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know what we do now? Paranormal investigations, because that's the entrepreneur in me. I'm like, you believe in it? All right, let's go. You know, like I'll let you guys can go to town on it. Sure.
Yeah, I saw that was one of the things that you guys, because I was checking out the new stuff on your website.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's new. That's different.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like I don't believe. I mean, you hear things in here, but I just find a logical reason for it. I'm like, that creak wasn't like, it always cracks me up. This is the best thing. So, like, I am in the minority in this building. Like, for real, I'm in the minority that this place is haunted. Like, I think there's maybe 2 of us out of like the 100 people that work in this place. And they always say that, oh, there's this little girl that walks through there, and there's a man with a top hat. And I'm like, why is it always like somebody from the 1900s? Like, why isn't the guy from Staples that died, last week walking through here with his red shirt on? It's always like this really cool story back behind.
And there's always going to be a little girl. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And she's wearing a long white dress, because they all do.
Yeah, and why aren't any of them just like, lacking for a better term, down to earth? Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. They're always like creepy and sneaky, right? But yeah, no, I never had any inclination of like wanting to do haunted houses. It just was like a business idea at the time, and like I mean, for real, when we first started, there's a psychology to fear, and like we kind of learned a little bit about it, but we just didn't have the money. So we just threw up a bunch of fencing, put some black tarp up, and then we put masks in. And so like it was me, Colleen, my wife, Dario, and Chad, and this guy Darren at the time. And Darren was working at the club across the street, so there was really only 4 of us. And we opened our door, so you'd set up the one and you have a mask, and then you put the mask on, and somebody walks by and you go, bleh, you know? And then they go to the next person, but you take your mask off and you go around like Colleen, and then Colleen goes, bleh, you know? And then we're just leapfrogging each other, you know? At the end of it, they're like, oh my God, there's like 80 million people in there. No, there was 4. And we just had to be really creative on how we do it. I mean, to what we have today, it's embarrassing that we had that back then. But I mean, like,
that's where you started.
You got to start somewhere.
Power of innovation.
Yeah.
So now, if anybody that's young and thinking, "Oh, that looks so cool, I would like to do that," what advice would you give them?
Do it. Do it in your basement. Like, do your neighborhood. Do your class. I'll tell you, this is really cool. So Saint Cecile is a private school in town. It's like an international school. So their kids are coming from all over. The parents just ship them up here. So they're here, and there's a teacher in there. Her name is Mrs. Hopkins, and she's the sister of Tommy's girlfriend. Like, they've been together pretty much. It's husband and wife. And so she reached out to us and said, hey, I run a business class. Can we have them come in, learn about the haunted house, and then you can kind of like tell them, you know, like how much money you can make, you know, the pitfalls of it and stuff. I was like, sure, we did it. So now we're going into, I believe it's our 3rd year, and they've developed curriculum around it. So they'll come in, they'll do the tour. I'll explain to them how it works. I'll give them some psychology of fear behind it and get them thinking about it. They ask all the right questions. And then they take all that and they go back to the school. Then they come up with a plan. And then what they do now is I sell them bulk tickets. And then they sell them at retail. So I think they're like, I sell to them for like $35. They sell them at $45, which is our retail price. They make $10 in between. They do a fundraiser for the school. And then they all come in. They have the best time of their lives. And then they go back, but then they build a haunted house in the basement of the school. It's a 2-room haunted house. And on Halloween, the whole school goes through the haunt.
Cool.
That's really
So they've learned how to do it. They saw some of the tricks that we have. Then they saw it in application with all their friends. And then they are building it, applying it. They're putting everything that they've learned, and then they're going to have their school go through it. So they asked us to come to do a dry run through on Halloween, like in the afternoon. I'm like, of course I'll come in there. Like, I mean,
That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect a lot from it, but how cool is that they're actually taking it and they're learning from it, and that's something they'll hold for the rest of their lives. They're like, yeah, we built a haunted house in our school one time, you know. That stuff's cool.
You never know. You might be really surprised. Like,
Maybe there'll be competition for me, and I gotta hammer them.
Oh, no. Or who knows? Maybe they'll join forces.
Oh yeah,
they'll add their own innovations.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. I mean, I joke around about it, but I mean, there would be nothing more fulfilling knowing that like some kid came from, I don't know, the Andes, and then he's back in that town because they come from South America, they come from China. It's a international school, and they go back and they do this because they liked it. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
Yeah,
you'd be like the Mr. Miyagi of that's the ultimate sensei.
Favorite part of owning the place, running it? Like, what's your favorite thing?
You know what? Me and Dart talk about this a lot, actually. There's a moment when it's chugging and it's going, and there's so many parts happening at the same time, but the wheels are all greased and it's in a flow state.
Yep.
And you really don't have to do anything. Just sit back and just wait for the fire to burn and put it out when it happens. But every now and then, there's a moment where nothing's happening, and you just get an opportunity just to kind of assess, and it is. You're just like, this is awesome. Like, you see parents in here with their kids, and we're creating memories for them. Mm-hmm. There's family traditions that are coming in. Like, we come to Scarehouse every year. People that have dinners, and they make it part of their Halloween tradition.
That's really cool.
There really is a moment where you sit back and you just go, wow, you know, like, this is cool. Like, and there's very few things in life that you can see it as it's happening. I think a lot of parents will do that. They'll have those moments with their kids, and they're like, oh man, like this is really cool. I don't have kids, right? So I guess this is the closest I'm ever going to get to having something like that, right?
Even better, you got to skip the toddler stage, right?
No changing dirty diapers for me.
And least favorite part?
Well, when it does hit the fan, right? It's just like you're just like, oh shit. There's like, what am I gonna do? I mean, that's the least favorite part. I mean,
having to think on the fly. And
well, no, that's actually fun. I like solving problems. Like that's what all entrepreneurs like kind of live for, right? Is like to find something, a hole, and fill it and figure it out. I guess there's moments like I don't like the parts where you kind of have to put the hammer down sometimes on staff, or just because they're being dinks. That's not the good part. But I mean, people are people. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So Scarehouse is more than just your typical haunted house. You have immersive dinners, you got the paranormal investigations. How did this come about? And like explain a little
the dinners
bit. Yeah, the dinners and any other
out of the
elements
norm
of it. Yeah, that isn't just a typical you show up, walk through the house, like I feel like that's something that the listeners should definitely know about this place, because it's very, very cool.
So like it's the Scarehouse. This is how I use an analogy about it. So the Scarehouse is like going to the mall. So like when you go, so Scarehouse is the mall, and inside the mall you have your food court, which we call the Deadway, right? The Deadway. There's the bar, there's the popcorn, there's whatever. It's in a piazza. It's a dead center, and then you have your 5 haunts that are all off of the Deadway. Right, but then you have your main anchor haunt, which would be like, I don't know, like the main. It'd be like Target, when you're at. Well, you got to have your anchor tenant, right? Like everybody's, I gotta go. So Scared Evil is our main one, and then from there it goes off into another branch. Would be the dinners, and there's 5 rooms to choose from, and that happened on a whim and an accident. That's a product of COVID. And what happened was, in this room that we're in, this was an architect's office, because this used to be a Chrysler plant. And our friend wanted to have dinner with his friends because of COVID, and he's like, this is bullshit, I can't do anything, right? So they decided that they were gonna have dinner. And they said, can you make a room for us? I'll bring in a chef, and then we'll serve. And at the time, you're like 10 people at a table, right? So we made a table of 10 in here. You can kind of see how it would set up in here. And then we did it, and we set it all up. We didn't have anything going on that time, right? Because we didn't even know if we were going to open. And we didn't put any money or effort into the rest of the haunt, because why would we if we're not going to open? But then all of a sudden we were allowed to open. And we're like, oh my God. Okay, so we made this room. We did it. It was awesome. They loved it. And we said, well, I wonder if other people would like it. And we said, let's just open it up to the public. And then they started booking like crazy. And we're like, whoa. And then we sold out real fast. We didn't have a lot of tables in here at the time. I think we did 20 dinners or 20 nights. So you're talking like 200 people. And it wasn't a full table. Sometimes we'll take a 4. We just didn't know, right? And then we're like, wow, that was awesome. We should do this again. So we started to expand out, and then we did Cabin in the Woods and Mad as a Hatter. And then we had a smaller room, which we call Misfortune, was a seance room. Boom, did it. Whew. It just took off. And again, it caught us off guard. We're like, whoa, everybody really likes this. And then the next year we did it again, and then we kept growing and expanding out. And then what we do is we start hitting roadblocks or problems in the demand. So somebody comes in, this room's full, it's got 12. They're like, oh, we want to be able to put like 2 people in there. And we can't, because we only have tables of 6 and tables of. So we're like, okay, we got to figure that out. We solved it. We got it. Now we're in our 5th year. We're like, okay, how do we get like if a whole group wanted to take over a room? Frankly, black and white, that's 36. So we're just, what entrepreneurs do is they just figure it out, and they go, okay, how do we maximize this and make sure that the quality's there?
So what's next?
You know what? We are cooking things. We had to buy this building. So we bought it. Because we're putting in way too much of a capital expenditure into this building, just to have someone go, all right, we're selling it, you guys are out, and here comes this, and you're like, oh, I know it happens that fast, like it's 30 days and you're gone. So we had to put that together, and we did. So we own the building. So now we have our dreams, like our want list. We do want to take. We need an entrance and a facade that people are wowed from. Like, I mean, you walk up here, it's creepy warehouse. I love it when husbands or dads they'll tell them, I'm taking you to dinner, and they don't tell them.
Yeah.
And then they come walking up this building, right? And then you're like, what are we doing? Don't worry. And then they come in and they have the greatest time ever, right? But I mean, like, everybody has those moments. I love watching people come up. They've never been here before, and it's pretty impressive when you come out and then all of a sudden you walk out and then you see the Deadway for the first time, and you see this big bar. That's almost like it looks like a nightclub almost in there. And they're like, what is this doing here? You know,
it is. It's very contrasting, but I think that almost adds to it.
That juxtaposition is something that we work hard at. We want them just to go like, oh, I'm scared, icky, whatever. It's like with the food. Like, all of a sudden, you're like, what kind of food did I get here? And we have Chef Nico making the food out of Nico Taverna. And then when you get it, you're like, wait, how is this at Scarehouse? Yeah, it's a 5-star meal. I mean, he's a gold seal chef, right? Like, it's awesome, right?
That is.
We're
really
gonna have
cool.
to book and come here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to come for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, we do that, but our main thing that we really want to do is like we really want to start working on that facade and the lobby. I mean, because it's just like one of those wish list things, and we've maximized everything. We got 5 dinner rooms. We could probably put in another 6, but they can't do much more than that. There's 40,000 square feet. We're kind of maximizing all of that where we're at with the 5 haunted houses.
You're going to have to build upward.
Yeah, I mean, we could, right? I mean, again, it's an imagination thing, right? You're like,
you can
what
dream
if,
it, yep.
Yeah, my business partner, Dar, he always dreamed about taking a bus and putting it on the roof. And then when you go through the haunt, you actually go up into the bus. Like, the bus seats, stuff, you got to walk through the bus. But then everybody's like, why is there a bus on the roof? You know, like... But we'd have to get a crane and put it up there. I mean, like, that's one of his, like, things. But it can be done. We just got to engineer it so it can fit on the roof and make sure that it's safe. And, yeah.
That's so cool. It's like nothing. Like you said earlier, it's just financials. Your imagination is not the.
We have the team that can
limitless.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I mean, like, if Disney can do it, we can do it too. We just make it bloodier.
So for anybody who's watching and they want to come check it out, because I don't see how anybody wouldn't want to come check it out after hearing, you know, all the stuff that goes on here, where can they get a hold of you? How can they get tickets? And
everything's all done through our website. So you go to www.scarehousewindsor.com and it's all there. Everything is listed there. You can get all your tickets in there, anything that you want. I mean, we're at the point now where we've done special private events for people. We've done a baby shower.
Wow.
Yeah, they came in, and that was a cool story because, like, obviously, when you got a baby shower going, there's the mom to be has both moms coming. So there's the in-law, and then there's the mom, and the mom knows their daughter. The in-law is like, "What are we doing? You know what's going on?" And you could tell there was a little bit of tension there. What was going on, because we're setting everything up and we could just see that, you know, there's a little, like, I mean, you could just hear it in the comments and stuff, and then we just kind of go, whatever. But by the end of it, they were hugging each other and loving each other, and I had the conversation with the in-law, and I said to her, I was like, was this a special moment? And she, like, grabbed me by the arm, and she was like, never in a million years would I thought the best baby shower could be done inside a haunted house. And she was like, and she kind of, like, admitted, like, that she was kind of being a little bee, you know, and she just went, everybody has a baby shower. She was, but I know my daughter-in-law had the best one because everybody's gonna remember this one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know, like that. That was another one of those moments where you go, that's awesome, right?
That's really cool.
Yeah, so we do all kinds of birthday parties, and we did that, and then we have people that we did a Security One had their AGM here, where they went and had dinner, and they came out, and we set up the screens, and they went there, and they went over numbers. Like, all right, projections for next year are going to be, you know, like, that's what they did.
Wow, we need to start having staff.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, anything can be done. I mean, like, if you can think it, it can be done in this building.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I'm just thinking, what's that, Jimmy? That's an awful idea. Into the warehouse with you. Come back with better ones. Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, well, we're not going to keep you any longer because I know pretty soon.
Yeah, they got to flip this table out. They're actually got to set up for dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we'll get out of the way, let you guys get going. And your information will all be on the website, on our stuff, on our website.
Mm-hmm.
And on the video.
And on the video, we will definitely be talking about you on the air.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Man, Shawn, thank you so much for
yes, it's
inviting
wonderful.
us here, you know. Doing
Anytime.
the interview.
You're going through it, aren't you?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Make
and
sure
you have contest winners are coming through too, right?
Yes, we're the three of us.
So
Yeah.
so for anyone that doesn't know, Scarehouse Windsor gave us tickets to get to do a contest, and it was called Panic with Petey in the Scarehouse. So in like an hour, the winners will be here, and they will be going through with Petey, and I'll be watching with Shawn from the control room.
Yes.
I cannot promise anything.
Yeah. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
I'm really excited to see the footage from your guys' perspective afterwards because I love haunted.
There'll be a lot of laughing going.
Yes.
Ah!
So make sure your staff knows, because you guys are going to be going through before like a bunch of other people come in.
Yeah, you're going through. You're going to start while everybody's fresh and all of the actors, whatever. So right at 7:00, we're going to open up to the public, and then it takes a little bit of time for them to process to go all the way through. But you guys are going to start it off, so you're going to get them while they're at their freshest.
Okay.
So make sure they know first, the three that are going through, like, do your worst.
Pinch them, why don't you?
Yeah. There may not be any people left over from the radio station, right? They're not going to make it.
My only thing is don't kill Petey, because I need him. Don't break him.
You brought the spare pair of underwear, right?
Yeah. You can't smell urine on video.
But I can tell people about it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, and thank you again so much for donating the tickets for us to give away and letting us have the experience to do that, document it, and upload it. It's going to be a really cool time.
I'll be watching.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
If you guys want to see more, make sure you tune in every week. We upload a video on our channel. You can also hear it on our station. Go to our website, www.CKRT-BorderCityRadio.com. You can also check it out on YouTube, the same name. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and click the video there. See you.